Subject of tanking has been a hot topic around the NBA lately, but how does the Miami Heat fit into the conversation? We look at the reasons why they will or won't and look ahead to Thursday's matchup versus the Sixers. Wes, is it a must-ish win game for the Heat?
David, they're all must-ish wins now.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang. Become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. Got a ton to get to today, but I want to center today's show, David, on the tanking conversation. It's the big talk around the league right now, but not so much on this podcast, right? We've debated a little bit about whether or not the Heat should, explained reasons why Heat culture dictates that they shouldn't or won't and wouldn't, but they aren't, right? And that's the idea here, and I think that's maybe the most important thing. We'll talk about why they aren't here in a second. Plus, I have a radical idea that I think might help address tanking across the league and help the Heat at the same time that I want to introduce to us in the next segment. But David, you look around the league as a whole, and you look at some of the blatant tanking that's going on, and you tune into these national podcasts, you watch ESPN, the national shows, and all these things, and tanking is such a prominent part of the NBA conversation, and yet it doesn't, not here. And it does feel a little bit like the Heat are siloed away from that entire conversation, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just an organization that doesn't get associated with the idea of tanking that much, maybe to their detriment. And I know a lot of Heat fans feel that they probably should be actively tanking, but they're a team that tries to be competitive at all costs and will never throw away games like that. They might lose a bunch of games. They might lose games that they probably should have won, just like their most recent loss against Milwaukee Bucks. But it's not because they're actively trying to sit players or keep themselves from winning games. But, I look at tanking, and maybe this is a bigger picture kind of conversation here. I don't see that it's that big a deal. Like, I'm pretty sure I watch more basketball than a large percentage of the people chiming in on this. And I don't know that it bothers me as much as it does. And I don't know if it's just because I'm immune to it or because I've seen it before in some degree for a number of years, but it never feels like that big a deal. And yet here we are debating this almost constantly about why teams should actively tank or shouldn't tank or what's wrong with the game or anything like that. It's like, you know what? The fans of teams, let's say one of the teams that's actively tanking, the Utah Jazz, right? Aren't Utah Jazz fans kind of leaning into the idea of tanking? Does it really bother them when they sit Jaren Jackson Jr. for fourth quarters?
David Locke was telling us before the Jazz were playing in Miami when we were talking to him, Jazz fans are rooting for them to lose. They're like, why? Like, shut everybody down. Lose the rest of these games. Yeah.
So what does it matter? Like, are you really that pissed off as a Knicks fan that the Jazz are actively taking games? Like, what's got you all worked up about this situation? Because to me, it's not that big a deal. It's less than a handful of teams. I think some teams just stink. Like the Washington Wizards just aren't very good, and they weren't going to win a lot of games. They made some smart trades, well, maybe to be determined, perhaps trades at the deadline, and they acquired Trae Young, they acquired Anthony Davis. It looks like they're a promising future for them. What's the big deal? Like they've got a direction at least. They're moving towards something. The fact that they're not playing, that they're playing Bub Carrington or whoever else is on that roster, at least Wizards fans seem to be okay with it. I don't know that there was a lot of excitement about the season, but I don't think that anything that they've done
to your point,
tank.
I do think that we look at just bad teams, and I'm with you for the record. I have generally been in the camp of tanking is more of a national talking point than it is an actual problem that people care about. And it does strike me often as kind of pearl clutching, and high horsing a lot of it. And I'm with you. Like, okay, I guess you and I, like you said, we watch more basketball than 99% of the population, right?
Right.
But, you know, am I super bummed that I don't necessarily have to watch Wizards Kings on a given night? No. You know what I mean? Like it's okay if that one's taken off my plate during an 8-game slate. Okay?
Right.
Like I'm okay with it, and if Kings fans and Wizards fans are okay with it, moreover, then that's really the only important. That's the most important thing. I do have a theory as to why tanking is eating away at the league and why I think it does need to be addressed. But before I get to that, to your point, you look at the teams that are quote unquote tanking. Like we all just throw them in this big tanking bucket. Memphis is often considered tanking. That just feels like the life cycle of the team was over, right? Did they have to trade Jaren Jackson Jr. at the deadline? No, but they got 3 first-round picks for him, right? And Walter Clayton Jr., who people like the John Morant thing was clearly like the whole John Morant situation didn't go south because they were tanking. It went south because of other decisions that they made, perhaps in terms of coaching and whatever. But it wasn't tanking. You watch the Dallas Mavericks night tonight; they're no good. But and they kind of shut Kyrie Irving down for the rest of the year. They trade away Anthony Davis, but again, they got Cooper Flag last year. Anthony Davis didn't have a place. There are basketball reasons to trade AD. And you watch Dallas, they try when they're out there. Like that's not a team going out there and acting like a tank. Utah is blatantly tanking, right? That's there. New Orleans, they have no reason to tank. They don't have their own pick. They just stink. Sacramento, they're tanking, right? They're shutting down guys. But it wasn't like they were going to be a whole lot better than where they are, right? Like they're 13-47. If they really tried, maybe they could be 20 win team, you know? Like it's not like we really missed out on a great Sacramento Kings season. Chicago's tanking, but they've been like holding up their end of the bargain on this like for a long time in terms of middling and refusing to tank. So I think they get a pass here. And they've really only tanked since the trade deadline, right? They have not been tanking prior to Washington. Again, natural life cycle here. Are they tanking a little bit harder? Yeah. Instead of a 16-win team, maybe they could have won 22 games. Who cares? Like, what are we really talking about here? Indiana, Halliburton's hurt. Brooklyn, life cycle thing. Maybe they're taking a little bit longer than they need to, but it is what it is. I'm with you. I don't look at the league and say there is blatant tank going on. Now, when you have a situation like Utah where they're clearly just they're winning games and then resting their players in the fourth quarter, that's a bad look. Toronto did it last year. Dallas did it a couple of years ago. But really only at the end of the season. I don't think it's as big of an issue. Now, the reason why I do think that it is something that the league needs to address is that I think in combination with tanking and star players like for Washington, right? Like they're not going to be any good, but they did shut down Trae Young and Anthony Davis before they had to. The Jazz shut down Jaren Jackson Jr. before they had to. Again, you can make individual cases for why those maybe were the right decisions for the team, but these are star players not playing basketball games basically from the All-Star break on. Specifically when the NFL ends and a lot of people start tuning into the NBA, and there's a lot of star players are just like, I'm off for the rest of the season. Domantas Sabonis, another one. And so the league as a whole has a problem with their star players not playing. And I think tanking is just another sort of version of that happening. And it's why I think they need to address it, because I do think that there's an overall sense of star players don't play in the league and tanking doesn't help that.
Yeah, I get that kind of feeling, but at the same time, like most of the tickets for these games are already sold, right? Like if let's say Miami, for example, if they were to lean into this whole tanking idea, they shut down Tyler, maybe trade Norm at the deadline because he's in a relatively expiring deal.
Shut
down Bam. Yeah. So for the rest of the year, let's say they shut those two guys down. Wouldn't Heat fans kind of lean into that? Again, the tickets are already sold. Would they show up? Would they show up to watch Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Casper?
Yeah, I mean, for this individual case, it's sort of like what you got going on in Chicago. You almost have a fan base that is partially starved for something like that, right? But like, let me ask you this: like, let's say that you were, you know, let's say your son was a big Trae Young fan. Sorry about it, but like, let's just sorry to put you in this spot.
I did so in him.
Yeah, right. And you were feeling generous, and you said, "Well, the Hawks are in town, or the Wizards are in town. Like, I'm going to take you to a game." And then Trae Young doesn't play because of tanking or something. You would be bummed out, right? Like that would suck. Your son would be bummed out, and you have people talking about this all the time about like, why would I buy a ticket if I don't think these star players are going to play? I can just watch this stupid game on TV or not watch it at all and just keep rooting for the losing and check the box score the next morning. Yeah. In terms of the Heat's place in this, I do feel like we are almost maybe part of the reason that you and I are similar and that we feel like it's been exacerbated as an issue and as a talking point over the last few years is because it just doesn't happen here. Like, we are so separated from the conversation. The Miami Heat already kind of feel separate from the rest of the NBA in some ways because they do things so much differently and they kind of have their own thing going on, their own little, Miami Heat world and universe. But it's in these moments where it especially feels so.
It is very insular here in South Florida, but I mean that's Miami in general, even like geographically. Like if I talk to people up north, they're like, "Oh, you're from Florida." It's like, no. There's Florida, and then there's Miami. We're a completely different place. It could be. It's very much its own world down here, and just the geography, the configuration of the state, how far it is from everywhere else. Like this idea up north, where you can be from New York to Jersey to Massachusetts to Pennsylvania. You haven't even crossed Gainesville by the point you can get to all these different states, in up north. So it's just a very, very different world down here. But Miami, to your point, does their own thing. Like the fact that news don't break here, like you don't get any insider information or anything like that. The way that they keep everything in house, the stability of the organization. It's just very, very different than anywhere.
If anybody was going to tank and get away with it, it would be the Heat because they never release injury report information, like accurate injury. Like, no, he's coming back. He's making progress every day. Every day he's making progress. It's like, Bam's making progress. Yep. It's like
if they told us today that Bam Adebayo had like a spinal fracture, I'd be like, well, yeah, I don't know when it happened against the Bucks, but I believe it because they're telling us,
I would be more surprised that they told us about it.
Than
it actually happened. Right.
Reassess in 6 to 8 weeks and who knows what.
That said, the Heat never tank. And there is a debate all the time about whether or not the Heat should or shouldn't. And I'm honestly post arguing about it.
Yeah.
I'm over. I'm all the way in on just, hey, it is what it is. Embrace who you are. This is the team you root for. If you don't like it, root for another team. I'm almost at that point. This is the Heat. This is the Miami Heat. They do not tank. Just embrace it. Just embrace it. Wear it as a badge of honor. Maybe it's a stupid badge of honor, a badge of honor of stupidity or hubris or whatever it is, but it's your badge of honor. Dang it. Like, just wear it and embrace it. I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, at least every night I get to go out there and know that this team is at least trying to win games, even if they don't necessarily do the winning of the games or necessarily try as hard as you might want them to some nights lately, but it is what it is. That said, I do think that there's an idea here. It's a radical one, David. But all the tanking ideas I've heard suck, or the ideas to fix tanking are not good, except the ones that I have. And I have a new one. We'll get to it after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. I know you're a big fan of that. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. And I've got my number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft and said it before. Classic cherry is the one for me. That's the one I go to. That is my flavor all the time. It's bold. It's got a slight tart edge to it, but it's a classic red. You can't go wrong with that. Smooth, easy to recognize, a little tangy, but it's just such a familiar flavor. It's so good. I love cherry flavor, and it's no different with 5 Hour Energy. But I got to be honest with you, I tried a strawberry banana, and it was like having a smoothie, a compact, easy to go smoothie with a little bit of extra, caffeine to get me through my day. It was really, really good. Nice flavor, a good creamy fruit profile, and a nice aftertaste too. Sometimes when you drink some of these drinks, you might not necessarily like the aftertaste, but with strawberry banana, it was a great flavor. So I really enjoyed that one. But at the end of the day, in this draft, I got to go with the cherry. It's the number one for me. I can't go wrong with that, but there are so many other flavors to choose from. Maybe you'll find your number one by trying them all. 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. 5 Hour Energy, they've got a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned too, so stay tuned for that. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or via Amazon. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment, whoever's there, whoever's not playing, if your team is tanking or not, the NBA experience is so much more than just the players on the floor. Getting tickets, though, well, that part hasn't always been so simple or fun. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. You pull up to the Game Time app maybe and pick an upcoming game. Get tickets locked in within minutes, and you'll love seeing they're all in price upfront. There's no surprise fees at checkout. The views from the seat feature, I think, is a great game changer. If you're going to a venue you've never been to, maybe it's not necessarily for an NBA game, maybe it's a comedy show or a concert, and you don't know what this venue looks like, you can see exactly where you're going to be sitting. Very, very convenient. And the deals are up to the last minute, so you get the best prices available for whatever show or event you're looking for. Everything's quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets for Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and then use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDON, locked on, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. We'll be right back. You're muted.
All right, let's unmute myself there. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Being part of the Cookie Gang and becoming an everydayer comes with some great perks, including ad-free shows. Plus, if you join the all-access tier, you get even more, including text message updates like running game notes, injury news, and transaction rumors around the trade deadline, the draft, and the offseason, all sent directly to you via text. You'll also get a chance to text us questions for post-game shows. If you're interested in being part of the Cookie Gang and joining the Everydayer Club, tap the link in the show notes or head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to learn more. Before I get to my radical idea to address tanking, you mentioned in the 5-hour energy read there that you think I'm a big fan of cotton candy. Why would you think that?
Is that what you mentioned? Or was it the confetti crazy one that you like so much?
Oh, I was probably lying or something. I don't know. I don't like cotton candy.
Oh,
I don't like sugary, just sugar stuff like that. I'm not a big...
There's
cotton candy is
actual
just
sugar in this. Yeah, it's delicious sugar.
Well, in the 5-hour energy, sure, but I thought you meant like cotton candy in general.
Yeah, cotton candy's delicious.
No.
I mean, I'm not a big texture guy.
Way too sweet.
There's no such thing, my friend. I'm sorry.
Do you have a sweet
too
tooth?
sweet. Yeah, well, I don't necessarily have a sweet tooth. I actually don't prefer sweets that way. I'm more of a salts kind of guy. But if it's gonna be sweet, I don't mind that. Load it all up. Give me everything. Whipped cream on top. Sweet. Hell yes. Bring it on.
Yeah. Go big or go home. Speaking of going big or go home, my radical idea to address tanking. We've talked a lot about negative reinforcement around the league, punishing teams for tanking, fining teams like the Pacers or the Jazz for shutting players down, whatever it might be, right? Getting rid of draft picks, punishing teams that are in the bottom 4 of the draft, 2 years in a row, not allowing that to happen, getting rid of protections, whatever it is, right? It's a lot of punishing. It's a lot of stick, no carrot.
Right.
And I do think that the league is approaching that the wrong way. And I wonder if there's a world where maybe we try a little bit more positive reinforcement for the teams that are not tanking. Teams like the Miami Heat, for instance. Just, off the top of my head, just spitballing here. What if we awarded teams that didn't tank? Like if you make the play-in tournament, right? Like the Thunder and the Spurs and the Pistons, they don't get rewarded for not tanking because they're just really good. Like they might get rewarded with a championship at the end of the year. But we already got this dumb thing like the NBA Cup in the middle of the year that rewards a team for nothing. Like if you don't tank and you are a shining example of a team that Adam Silver could point to and say, hey, look, that's a team that could tank and doesn't. That team is out there trying every single night. They're not shutting their all-star players down on the road or on national TV games specifically. Like, I wonder if you know how like in college football you get like some of these teams put like stickers on the helmets for like a good job, on something. Like every time all of your star players play on the road or on national TV, you get a franchise sticker like in the league office somewhere. And at the end of the year, they're all added up, and whichever team has the most anti-tanking stickers gets like a 5% boost in their lottery odds or something, or whatever percentage boost in their lottery odds it might be. What do you think?
Feels a little subjective there.
Yes, it is totally subjective. And I do think that with tanking, we have to treat it like porn, and it's like, it when you see it type of thing. Like, I don't think that we could put rules in place with tanking. I don't think because if we put rules in place, teams will just figure out ways to dodge rules. Like that's what teams do. I think we just got to, as a league office, have a committee that is almost like the college football playoff committee and just say, okay, these half dozen people are in a room and they decide who's tanking and who's not. Because we all know,
Wow.
you and I could say, we just did it in the first segment. We know who's doing it and who's not. It's not that hard to figure out.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I guess a tanking committee does make sense. And then you have your more egregious violators like the Utah Jazz, and then other teams that, as we said, are just stink. So it would be easier to assess. It just, I don't know. What would the reward be? Just like draft compensation? You get an extra second round pick, maybe, if you're like.
I would take lottery ping pong balls away from the tanking teams and move them to the shining example teams.
So it's
So
both.
like Utah, for instance, they would lose 10 lottery ping pong balls every time they shut down Jaren Jackson Jr. in the fourth quarter. And then the Heat, like those ping pong balls have to go somewhere because the odds have to stay what they are, right? You have a certain amount of, and so they just get transferred to Miami's bucket of balls.
So it's both carrot and stick in this case, because you're
That's right.
punishing one team and rewarding the other.
That's right.
And in that sense, that's good. I mean, I think that makes more sense then. But again, the subjectivity of it is all kind of what makes it difficult for me to see any kind of plan like this. I still think you wind up having to punish teams, but again, even that's subjective in its own. So with the exception of
Adam Silver's finding teams subjectively, that's up to him.
But a fine, what's a fine to a multi-billionaire? Like,
it's embarrassing. That's mostly what it is. It's just embarrassing. And for these multi-billionaires, that costs more than money.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I don't even know how you would go about fixing it. I mean, I know it's a conversation that's ongoing. I guess the idea of rewarding teams makes sense.
Like, imagine, for instance, last year, the Heat are on the bubble of making the play-in tournament or just sliding into the tank. A lot of teams in Miami's situation last year would have just tanked the last week of the season and gotten a lottery pick, a better lottery pick, and than you would have gotten if you had lost in the play-in, which Miami didn't. And, we saw what that pick could have become Cooper Flag, right? Yeah. There's a world where that happens. Instead, Dallas gets rewarded for doing the dumbest thing on the planet and trading Luka Doncic the way that they did it, tanking the rest of the season after that, and they get rewarded with Cooper Flag? Like, why? I understand the outrage in that. Meanwhile, Miami is out there doing yeoman's work, trying, despite a 10-game losing streak, they try to break out of it. They go to the play-in tournament, win 2 straight games on the road, and make it to the playoffs. That's a great story. That's exactly what the NBA wants. That's why they installed the play-in tournament in the first place, was to give teams like in the 9 and 10 seeds a chance, right? To literally, if you're a 9 or 10 seed, we want you to keep trying at the end of the year because there's a chance you can make the playoffs, as opposed to just not caring. And yet it's the Heat who get punished.
Yeah.
If I'm the NBA, I need to fix that. And I think, what if instead last year the Heat make the play-in tournament, they get, before they play out the play-in tournament, right? Because at that point you've done the job of making the regular season, the end of the regular season, matter. So it doesn't matter whether or not you lose in the play-in or you make the playoffs. At that point, right there, before you play your first play-in game, you are rewarded with 50 more lottery ping pong balls or whatever it is. And then maybe the Heat move up in the draft and they end up with Cooper Flag or VJ Edgecombe or Dylan Harper or something like that. And they've earned it. They've deserved it, right? They've earned that player, as opposed to some of these other teams who just embarrassed the league and then got rewarded for it. If I'm the NBA, this sounds like a really good idea for me, because I'm like, no, we want teams to try, and we're going to show you how much we want you to try. We're going to give you an actual tangible reward, and it's going to come at the expense of these tanky, embarrassing teams.
It's great. Sounds good, but it's an idea that has no legs whatsoever.
It'll never happen. I'm totally aware of that.
The league has a chance to correct an actual situation that took place in the Terry Rozier deal and to reward Miami, not even reward, to make fair what they've done, right, what they allowed in the first place, and do the right thing in that sense. And they're like, it's kind of a tricky situation. It's like, it's not.
It's not. You're right.
It's not that tricky.
Everything's tricky until it's not, Adam Silver.
Yeah.
Everything's tricky until
you allowed a player to get
an in-season tournament in, and then it's like, it's not tricky at all. Or you want to start expansion. Hey, this is going to line owners' pockets with $7 billion more each, or whatever it's going to be. Like,
really tricky. It's like, okay. So I like the idea. I don't know. It almost feels like the in-season tournament, I know it's being marketed as a reward for teams and stuff like that, but really the league is the one that winds up being rewarded the most for it because
And
they
the
get to
broadcast
market
partners.
everything.
Yeah.
The broadcast partners. So um, I think the league's so much more geared towards punishing teams rather than rewarding them that I just don't see how there's a world where you can do it. I like the idea, but you know what? Instead, all you're going to get more than likely is a begrudging acknowledgement from fans and teams around the league that, you know what, that Miami group, they really do try hard.
Well, and we're going to get more dumb rules, like some weird lottery protections, and just like the NBA loves to just add rules to problems, and then you get unintended consequences.
Why can't they just forfeit a pick? If they're not willing to give Miami a pick back, what is like Utah in particular? Like, it's like, you know what? You screwed around too much. You played with us, and now you're going to mess around and find out.
I'm here for it. Anything that rewards the Heat, I'm here for it. Heat plays Sixers tonight. We're going to look ahead to that game after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed sponsored jobs, workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill in is still sitting open. With the pressures on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for with the skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, you can spend less time searching and more time interviewing the candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We'll be right back.
Heat play the Sixers tonight, David. Sixers are a team that is very much near Miami in the standings. They got a big win the other night while Miami lost, only furthering the gap there. The Sixers right now 32-26 in the sixth place spot in the East standings. Miami 31-28, a game and a half behind Philadelphia. Needless to say, this game, it's more than must-ish win. I mean, you've got to. This is one that could really make a difference in the standings in Miami's pursuit of getting out of the play-in tournament altogether.
Yeah, huge opportunity. You kind of blew it. You could have afforded to maybe lose or at least just be competitive in tonight's game had you won against the Bucks, but that wasn't the case. So now you're looking at this matchup and you've got to go in there and give it your best 100%. This is not a game that you can afford to lose. So I am curious because I keep waffling on this, but I don't think I've got any choice based on the way this team has just been so inconsistent all season long. Like, I want to see the response after a really disappointing Bucks loss. Like, what are you going to do to make, I don't know, to show that this team is interested in continuing to win games? Because you're up against it now. Like, you want to have, maybe this conversation is futile in November and December when the season's just kind of getting its footing. Now you're up against it. You've got a month and a half left before the season ends, and you've got a handful of games left. You've got to be able to do something and make a strong statement. And this is as good as an opportunity as you're going to get, because the Sixers are a really good team that has had some inconsistency issues of their own. They've also had some health issues, obviously, but they've got great players and Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid's going to be available. Paul George is up. They've got their rookie VJ Edgecombe. Like, I mean, that's a pretty good team there, and Miami has a really good opportunity to say, you know what, we can compete against these winning teams, especially the teams that are in the Eastern Conference right above them in the standings.
Last time, so Miami right now 1-0 against Philadelphia this season. This is their second meeting, second of 3. So if Miami wins this, they get the tiebreaker. That is huge. Okay, like we cannot overstate the importance of this game tonight in terms of the standings. When these teams did play, Maxey went off for 27 points. It did take him 23 field goal attempts in that game, but we know what Maxey is capable of. And that to me is the key matchup here. Joel Embiid, by the way, probable to play in this game. Paul George out because he's serving a bogus 25-game suspension. The Heat will be without Nikola Jovic. He was out of the rotation anyway, so less important. Sounds like guys that had been on the injury report, like Pal Larson, Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins, like these guys are Davion is questionable, but he's with the team right now and he's hopeful to play here. So we'll see what happens with Davion. But they're going to need, like, that's the injury report piece that I'm looking at the most, because without Davion, I get really worried about the Tyrese Maxey factor here. Because of Davion's perimeter defense, obviously.
Absolutely. Like, he needs to challenge him. Like, I mean, Maxey's burst of speed, his shooting range, etc. Like, you need your top defender on him, and I think that's Davion Mitchell. So it's going to be a collaborative effort. You're going to have Andrew Wiggins spending some time there. I mean, and of course, Norm, Tyler Hero, both of them are going to be trying to do their best what they can do. I wonder
if we get more Drew Smith than Jonas in this one, especially if Davion can't go.
That's a really good point. Because I think, if I recall correctly, in the last minutes, there were possessions there where Drew Smith did a really good job of at least making him work extra hard. You're not going to stop him, but you can at least try to force him into as most of an inefficient shooting night as possible to get him from going off for 35 plus, which he's certainly capable of. You got to defend him well, keep him off the line, try to guard the 3-point shot, try to adjust, make the right read defensively. And for that, I think as good as Davion's been, Drew Smith is probably as good as well. So you got to put him out there. So that's a really good call. I would not have expected that, but I think it's necessary for Miami, if they're going to have a chance of winning, to put him out there.
Embiid did not play in the first meeting. He, again, probable to play in this game. And if he does play, I don't expect Miami to change up their starting lineup. I don't think you do that with Embiid these days, in terms of maybe putting out two bigs with him and Kel'el. But Bam can obviously handle Embiid. Bam's been a better player than Embiid this year. That's fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm looking at Pella, though.
Yeah.
Because the way, I know you've watched the Embiid this season, the way he's moving ain't right. He's not really going coast to coast these days. It's a lot more 3-point line to 3-point line, free throw line to free throw line. Defensively, he's not nearly as mobile. He's been a little bit better. Like, he's gotten better as the season has gone on. But again, he's dealing with some injuries right now. And right now it's that knee management that he's dealing with, and also a shin issue that he's dealing with. I wonder if those backdoor cuts that Pella is so good at finding are going to be available there. I'm looking at Pella to potentially get a sneaky 14-point game here, maybe.
That's a good X factor there, because you're right in terms of who would they have defending Pella in that starting lineup? I guess it would be Edgecombe too. So or would he be on Powell to start things off?
Yeah, it could. They could go in a few different directions, because they move stuff around. Obviously, without Paul George, they'll probably put. I mean, they could put Dominic Barlow on him. Yeah, they might put Barlow on Wiggs. So maybe it could be Edgecombe there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but
they'll probably put their weakest defender on him. Yeah, they might just they might actually try to have Maxey hide out on him. Maxey's not a weak defender, but just to kind of give him a break.
Right. But he could still make those cuts there, and I think he could still use his physicality to get to the line, etc., and maybe get Maxey into trouble. The situation with Embiid, I think it would be a game where you mentioned changing the starting lineup. I think he would work Kel'el Ware. He's just too savvy in terms of drawing fouls, and I think Kel'el would probably get in foul trouble in the first 30 seconds of the game. Like, that's just what it's. Yeah. The first possession would he probably get 2 fouls in Kel'el. Yeah,
and in the flopping cookie jar.
Absolutely, yeah, and it wouldn't be fair or whatever, but I mean, that's just the way Embiid plays his game, especially at this stage where he's not 100% healthy. So that's an interesting matchup there. I actually kind of see if they're going to sink their worst defender on him, I wonder how that leaves Norm Powell, a guy who can go off and have those kind of big games. I wonder if he's going to be. He has to be potentially Miami's best scorer, and conversely, you're almost looking at Bam, whether he can take advantage of those defensive miscues from Embiid, or just a lack of timing there at this stage in his career, whether or not he could be a little bit more effective. Can he stretch the floor? Will he be able to knock down that 3-point shot? It's a really interesting one, but I think Miami has a much greater edge in the second unit. Like, that bench group should be able to dominate Philadelphia, so I think the game might be won there.
Really don't need a big Quentin Grimes game in this one, right? Like, we really or like it would like a campaign.
Kelly Oubre, Kelly Oubre too.
Kelly Oubre is now back in the starting lineup because he's back in the lineup. He's back healthy. And Oubre might actually be the guy. Yeah. Oubre probably ends up on Wiggs, Barlow maybe on Larson, Embiid on Bam.
Yeah,
Edgecombe competes on Powell, and then you have Maxey and Mitchell just go straight up. I think both teams basically just play this straight up, essentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Just don't get me the big can't like I could see a trend in Watford going off for like 18 points or something, just like something crazy. I actually kind of like Trend in Watford, but yeah, it's totally random. But yeah, you're right. Like, the Heat's bench should have the advantage if they're able to kind of do what they did the 2 games prior to the Milwaukee loss and just kind of attack them in waves. That's obviously the way to get what could be a really big win for the Heat in the standings. Tune in tonight for the post-game show. Thanks for tuning in today, the Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe. Follow Locked On Heat so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free. Plus, members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to join the club.